Ice Weasels. This past weekend, I raced in the Ice Weasels Cyclecross race in Southwick, Massachusetts. It was a ton of fun. Everybody's been telling me, hey man, you gotta do this race. If you are getting into cyclocross this year, this is the race you gotta do. It's like the grand finale. They call it the World Championships. Whatever you want to call it, it was a really fun race. Really cool people. Great group of people who put it on. And the course was so interesting. Way different than, I guess, the rest of the races I did this year, which was really only 2 races. But in general, my knowledge of cyclocross, this was quite the race. My camera fell off a mile and a half in. So unfortunately, I didn't get the entirety of the race. And I also didn't take a lot of footage outside of the actual race because I'm still trying to figure this content creation thing out and getting back into the swing of things. So I'm sorry about that, but I hope you do enjoy the actual footage from the race itself.
All right, so here we are at the start of Ice Weasels CX. This is the 9:15 race. I am in the front line, which was pretty exciting. First race that I'm in the front, so I don't have to, worry about getting a major hole shot, which luckily I was following the leader right off the bat here. He's putting on a pretty solid distance, so right now I guess my only focus is just closing that gap and seeing if I can hang on his wheel, because this is a real strong start from him. I'm going to take a hard left turn into a pretty sandy uphill. Kind of almost had a chance to pass him here, but just was thinking, let's just hang on his wheel, see what he's doing. I don't know if he's going to be somebody I'll be on this entire race, or if he'll bail out a lap or 2 in. So the field is already pretty spread. Right here is where it gets really mucky. You just got to definitely pick your line. Yeah, if you weren't staying on that line that I just rode, you were completely slowed down. Real slick mud right here, and then we get into some motocross jumps, moguls. I don't know what you'd call them in the ski world. I guess these would be moguls, but they're definitely not called moguls for dirt bikers. But somebody tell me what these are called. I was having some fun, getting a little airtime on a couple of them, just to start off the race with some smiles. Pretty loose sand right here as well, so you gotta kind of pick the line. He's definitely continuing to look strong. So I'm just kind of focusing on staying on his wheel. I have a pretty large spread behind me, so I'm not worried about somebody on my wheel. Just gonna get on his. Cyclocross is real interesting because the entirety of the race you're stressed out about your surroundings and where everybody else is at. Coming from like an enduro race background, time trialed sort of styled race. This is pretty inducive and very stressful. Constantly thinking about where everybody's at and trying to make sure you're making the right decisions. So at this point, I actually, right back there, kind of almost did want to pass him, but I'm almost a little bit scared to take any big moves at this moment. So I don't know who he is or how strong of a rider he is. From the start, it looks like he's real strong, so. Here we get into some obstacles to the right there. Forget what they call it, but there's a little ride over that you can ride over, but it's definitely a slower line than just jumping off your bike and running through. I continued to run as he did through that muck. There was a log hop there. during my practice run, I did run through that. Sorry, I actually rode through that and hopped that log, but I just kind of am following everything that he is doing, as he does look like a pretty solid cyclocross rider. So I'm trying to pick up on what he is putting down. Here I am again, trying to close this gap. We're gonna get into the woods here pretty soon, and this is kind of where I excel, especially on this bike. This is not my cyclocross race bike by any means. It's a quite heavy, small-wheeled gravel bike, which I thought would be fun for this race because it was pretty technical, but any bits of long stretches where I really needed to put the power down and get a little bit of a sprint in, I was slacking big time. But anywhere where it was technical, I was definitely feeling really good. So this is one of those sections where the bike definitely felt like it was thriving. So here we go. We enter the gravity cavity. This is a new one for the course, supposedly. Super fun little gravity chute that sucks you down under and shoots you up the other side. All right, gets a little bit less hairy over here. Still trying to figure out when I might make a move on the race leader. This was a fun little spot. They had some music playing. No spectators to be seen over here in the woods, so kind of nice to have that little bit of music. This is when I try to start thinking about making a move. Failed attempt right there because of this turn here. But I do sense that somebody is right behind me, so now I'm getting a little antsy and ready to start putting some wattage down here. And there is the person right there who's right on me, so I need to make my move and start putting the work in. So I took a different line right through here. There is a super sandy right-hand turn right here. I made it pretty clean that time, but man, the other 4 laps, it was pretty rough. I slipped a couple times. Nice flat spot here. A little bit of a slick climb into the woods. This was probably my favorite part of the race. Felt like mountain biking. Pretty fast wooded section. Right here is actually where I lost my camera on the second lap. Fun section right here. The lines were so packed down, it was a bit like a highway, so if you just got on the right line, you could build some speed. Coming out of the main event area, they had some stairs up on the right side here. You could either run or basically ride, so I decided to ride. Getting a few glances here back at who's behind me, and I can see the overall winner of the race, not known to me then, of course, is making a pretty good approach on me. And the dreaded mud on the lens. This is the spot right here that killed me every single lap. And it's just the sole fact of, I do feel like I really wish I had my race bike for this point. I just lost a lot of momentum on these flats where I really could have just used the lightweight, actual CX race bike to propel me through these areas. But yeah, no, this gravel bike does not carry speed well. This is the main sprint area, the start line, the finish line, and this is where the overall race winner is going to make his move. Looks like he had some help from the rider that was behind me this last section. There they go, and I just can't seem to build speed with this bike, giving it everything. But now my focus is just to get back on them, and of course, I feel like I could do that once we get back into the technicals, so I'm not too worried. Being someone new to cyclocross this year, it is such a fun and interesting way of racing. All of the tight turns and just a lot of skill is involved in this sport, and that's why I think I enjoy it so much. You really have to practice and being a mountain biker, it's fun to be behind drop bars and ride in the woods and ride on dirt. Here's that section where it's real sandy, and we're gonna get into those what I'll call cyclocross moguls. No jumps now. I'm not gonna get any airtime right now because I'm just gonna focus on saving myself because I've got a lot of work to do to stay on these guys. Right here, the leader right now actually almost took a digger. If you watch him, he just hit that wheel and slid out. So definitely made sure to tell him that was a nice save right there because that could have been pretty nasty. All right, just fast forwarded a bit here into the race, back in the woods. Here I am making the move on the leader in the last clip. So, yep, the overall winner I see here. I'm getting to the point where my camera is going to fall off the bike. So, I'm in second right now. I am going to be eventually passed by the person right behind me on the final lap, which is a 13-year-old. The leader of the race is 14. These two guys totally crushed the field. Their age, that's amazing. They did an absolute killer job. I totally lost him at this point in here. And for the rest of the race, I'm just working on catching up to him. The 13-year-old behind me made his move right sort of halfway through the last lap, which was really awesome for him. And there goes the camera. But luckily, I have a 360 camera so we can see what's going on. So here is the 13-year-old passing right now. He's going to make a pretty good catch-up to get up to me. He beat me on the... when we came up to that open sprint at the very end, it was a fun fight with him, but he definitely had a solid advantage, and he was strong. So he got me on that sprint, and was super stoked to be on the podium with those two young guys.